TG Geeks, episode 185, September 3rd, 2018. Alternative history at conventions? Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from the mobile TG Squared studios at the Doubletree by Hilton
in North Phoenix.
And we're still here at CocoCon, and we did an interview, and we're recording this episode for today. So here we are.
Yeah, and I'm Ben Raggington, and
confused.
Yeah, well, no, I was going to say that little stinger that you just thought up, exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. I'm not joking.
I see.
That's why I made the face when you said that.
Aha, interesting. So yeah, you always get an alternate history from a convention after the fact.
Of course.
Because what happens at con stays at con. Yep. So we have actually Beth Cato in this first segment. And in our second segment, actually Rhonda Parrish was here with us in studio, a friend of Beth Cato's. And
her editor.
And she is in our second segment. And Beth kind of contributes a little bit. So this is a twofer in this
episode. A Beth Cato episode.
There we go. So let's just get right to it. And this time we have a special treat in studio. We are at CocoCon 2018, and we have Beth Cato with us. And I should do this. Oh, no, wrong applause. There we go.
There we go.
There's the
big applause. Big applause.
Big applause. And we also have a friend of hers, Rhonda Parrish, with her and with us here in our studio in our hotel room.
That's right.
This is our thing now
at
cons, and this mic still keeps falling down. I'm going to be on the floor talking here momentarily. But the reason we have Beth, she's the local guest of honor, or local author guest of honor. And we are talking because she has a new book due any time now.
And Keith is he's got the nail bites to show for it.
Exactly. I have no fingernails left because I'm waiting for this book. Because I remember when I finished the second one, and I sent you a message and I said, "Is there a third?" And you were kind of like, I don't know. then it turns out a couple of weeks later or a month later or something, you announced it that Roar of Sky was in development, and you were probably working on it then, but you were ready to
couldn't say anything at the time.
Yeah. So
anyway. There's definitely a point where you're allowed to publicly announce things and not have my agent go, you're not supposed to talk about this yet, kind of thing. But,
right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Darn.
So that is due what day? October?
Due.
Well, Roar of Sky is coming out on October 23rd.
October 23rd.
Of 2018, yes.
Yay.
And the release party for it is on October 21st, Sunday at 2 o'clock at Poison Pen in Scottsdale. And if people want to pre-order from that, they do ship worldwide if they can't come to Scottsdale to the actual event.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel an event coming up.
Yeah, and we'll be there.
We'll be there.
And
Yay.
we also we have the Amazon pre-order.
Yes.
On our widget on the right-hand side of our website that everybody has to scroll by every day, every time they look at an article. So it's like third or fourth one down, something like that.
We're going to get them to that subliminal suggestion. I swear we are.
Oh, I'm all about that.
Order.
Yeah.
Pre-orders are king.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, they are.
Oh, I know.
That is a big deal. So explain to us why. What is the really huge importance about pre-orders? But I agree with you. But for people who don't know, why is pre-order such a big thing?
Well, I mean, for publishers, it gives them an indication of the book is actually going to sell. And for things like Amazon, it kicks their algorithm into gear to actually help snowball and sell things.
Feed the algorithm.
Yes, feed the Amazon algorithm.
Feed the Amazon beast.
Lord. The Amazon beast. So, Beth, tell us about this Blood of Earth series, is it the Blood of Earth?
Blood of Earth,
yes.
Blood of Earth trilogy, yes.
I was like, wait a
it.
minute, did I get it right? I'm sorry, okay.
Give yourself applause on that.
Yeah, there we go. We'll
golf claps,
I'll get the golf claps.
Well, it's alternate history and with a mix of steampunk in there, but I think of it as primarily as alt history. And the basic idea for the first book, Breath of Earth, was rewriting the 1906 San Francisco earthquake to bring in magic and mythological creatures that aren't so mythological.
Right.
And combining all of that and also going into a lot of the racism and gender issues and the politics of the time period and really shining a light on that and showing the effects of colonialism on both sides what it's like to be a woman of color in that environment with incredible powers that you're not supposed to have and try and survive when everyone's starting to hunt for you and realize, hey, you do have all these cool powers. And
it's really ambitious because you're really trying to tackle a huge number of issues right there. I mean, it's more than just crossing streams. I mean, this is such an ambitious piece of work that is so well put together. I just have to wonder, and I know I've asked this before when we've had you interviewed on the show, but for people who are just now learning about us and hearing you for the first time, what was the germination for this idea? How did this all kind of came about, and why the San Francisco earthquake? I mean, that sounds like an interesting launch point.
Well, I'm a native Californian, and one of my earliest memories when I was 3 years old, I was in the bathtub in May of 1983 when the Kalinga earthquake happened with an epicenter about 30, 40 minutes away from where I lived in Armona. And the water started splashing out of the tub on its own. I screamed for my mom. She came in to save me. And, I grew up on earthquakes. I felt the 1989 quake, watching the 5 o'clock news with my family.
There.
Yeah, he's from the Bay Area.
Yeah, I felt it from a distance, but it was still enough to make my mom's hanging lamps sway. That's how we could always tell an earthquake was actually happening. Okay, look at the lamps. Are they swinging? Okay, yep, it's an earthquake. It's not a truck or anything like that. So I grew up with that kind of thing and the practice drills in school, and being a history geek from an early age, I always had this fascination with the San Francisco earthquake and what really happened. And my mind immediately goes to magic. So when I was looking for a new book idea during this weird time when Clockwork Dagger, my debut novel, we were in negotiations to sell that to Harper Voyager. And I was talking with my agent, like, I need a new project to work on to keep me sane. Well, we're in this process, so I have another series to pitch eventually. And I pitched this to her as like, okay, I want to do a steampunk take on the 1906 earthquake. And she was like, go for it. That's high concept. And me loving history as I do, I immediately started rereading material and remembering all of the stuff that I read on my own that I wasn't taught in school and I should have been, talking about like the Chinese and how they were treated in California through that period. And, I mean, it was horrible. I mean, you had these Chinese workers, and they would, barricaded in buildings, and they were put on fire, and if they escaped, they were shot by vigilantes and union guys who wanted to run them out of town, and just horrible stuff. That's part of our history that we weren't taught in school, and I found that was going on in all of the towns around my hometown. And I wasn't taught that in school. I wasn't taught that Tulsa's Chinatown didn't exist because it had been firebombed and all of this stuff. And so I built that into this world where it's a 1906 where essentially World War I is happening early and it's Pacific-centered because you have the United States and Japan have been allied since an early end to the U.S. Civil War, and they've formed the Unified Pacific, and they're taking over mainland China.
Right.
And that has repercussions on the Chinese refugees that have come to the U.S., and also repercussions in places like Hawaii, which is kind of a shared Japanese and U.S. dominion, and Roar of Sky actually begins in Hawaii.
See, that's the other thing that really amazes me about this story is that there is such incredible detailed universe building that you've done here. I mean, it's so easy to say, okay, I'm going to write alternate history, but this is so well thought out.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you diagram this out? Did you take notes? Did you actually kind of think, okay, well, if this happened at this particular point, what would be the repercussions before you actually started integrating that into the story?
I'm a hardcore outliner to a point where Roar of Sky actually had an 11,000 word outline.
Oh my God. That's bigger than a book.
Yeah, well, a lot of that is because I know the characters so well at this point, and characters like Fenris will just start talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I start outlining, and all of a sudden I have these old chunks of conversation and banter that are happening.
That's one of my ultimate questions.
One of his questions that he asks all authors is, do the characters talk to you? Do they come alive? Do they live in your head?
Do you have a conversation with them? Because Jeannie Koch, she's saying, especially when she was writing the first of her Alien Kitty Cat stories, she's like, okay, well, what's this character's name? And it says, my name is Catherine Kitty Cat. Yes, my parents have a sense of humor. Mm-hmm. So I find that fascinating, and Jeannie even went to say that she wouldn't trust an author where the characters don't talk to her. And Joe Straczynski of Babylon 5 said the same thing. Jakar, Londo, they all talk to him in his head. It's like split personalities almost. And I think any really good author could say that the characters at some point start talking to them without even realizing. So clearly that happened with you.
Well, when you share hundreds of thousands of words with these characters, and in this case, Breath of Earth I wrote in early 2013 for the rough draft. So I had been living in this universe for a number of years now.
Yeah.
And I think I set myself up to be, it was hard, because in Breath of Earth early up I set on this goal of the ultimate overarching aim for the characters is world peace. And when I was trying to outline Call of Fire, the second book, I was like, what did I do to myself?
Did you paint yourself into a corner or something?
It's like, what kind of obstacle I'm supposed to, what am I doing here? I'm trying to find world peace. We can't even do that in reality. What's going on? So,
well, I will say, you mentioned Clockwork Dagger. I adored those two books. Oh my gosh. It was just, I know there's other supplemental material, but I've only read the two novels themselves, and they are just, it's incredible. But when Breath of Earth, the first chapter, almost from the first sentence, when it's, San Francisco, whatever it was that was in the first sentence, it's like, I'm hooked. So,
just describing that boardroom and all of the G-Mancers sitting there. Ingrid's voice comes out right away.
Exactly. Yeah. It was just, it really, I loved it. I couldn't put it down.
The other thing that's really interesting, though, is that you've actually has some really well-defined rules on magic. Writing magic in a story like this, you can have all types of fantasy where magic can just completely run amok, and that's not the case here. This is more, I would almost call this a steampunk sci-fi. Alt history is often categorized as sci-fi. I would, because there are rules here to how the magic operates. How did you actually, what kind of thought process did you go through in order to actually have something like this? Because there, like I said, there is a system to the way the magic actually operates here. So, yes, that's exactly how it's done.
Exactly.
And picture sparkly sound effect, with all the sound effect. You've got to have little sparkles in the air.
Oh, God, no sparkles. No sparkles. I'm done with sparkles.
There we go. Well, I think of it like a role-playing game, and that's how I fell into the fantasy novel genre when I was 12 anyway, was because of the Final Fantasy and the Dragon Warrior series and things like that, and thinking about almost like a Advanced Dungeons and Dragons rulebook style to approaching how to build the rules for this magic system. What are the consequences of having this power? And that's something going into Roar of Sky in particular, because one thing that is dangerous with books when you have a powerful character with magic, you don't want to make them a demigod and have them be invincible. It's boring.
It is.
It's like, they can beat anyone. They get beat up, whatever.
And then you have to create a nemesis or some sort of opposition that is as equally powerful, and now you have Armageddon.
Yeah.
There's no fun in that.
Well, it could be world peace, right? You were trying to get world peace. And
so there's your détente.
Scorched Earth. Scorched Earth, start over.
It could be peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's those consequences are very important to me. I think about if they have hit points and magic points, how does that fit into reality?
Right. Well, and Ingrid has, you can tell she loses some of her power.
She does.
She expends more,
Yeah, there are consequences.
Really, yeah. I mean,
Well, and I'm not going to go into spoilers, but I will say going into Roar of Sky, when I was writing Ingrid in this book, it is a lot of it is a focus on representation for people with disabilities. She is permanently damaged from what she endured in Call of Fire.
right.
And she has to live with it.
Right.
And for me as an author, that was difficult because I have to think about things like, a century ago, we think of how hard it is for someone in a wheelchair these days to get around
Right.
and what accessibility means.
Right.
Think of 100 years ago.
Oh my God.
When if you were disabled, you weren't supposed to exist. You were supposed to be a
No.
shut-in. You weren't supposed. People considered you like you're a freak. You shouldn't be out in public. We don't want to see you.
Right.
And having her, like in the first chapters, she's in Honolulu in a wheelchair, and how can she get around? She can't fit in doorways.
Right.
There aren't ramps to get onto
Exactly.
sidewalks.
Yeah.
Things we take for granted now with the Disabilities Act in the U.S. I mean, they sure didn't exist then.
Right.
And
I like that. I mean, and I like it in terms.
Representing it, yeah.
Well, yeah, I like that you're representing it. And the other thing that I really like about that is, I detest what I refer to as the reset button. I hate that.
Yeah.
I love the idea that there's an actual consequence to, and Ingrid, she's our protagonist. You don't want to see anything bad happen to her, but it's nice to have to see something in literature where, hey, bad things happen to good people. I mean, granted, it's a bit of reality that we don't like to see crept into our fantasy. But I really like the idea that we have to see this happen to our chief character, and now how she's got to deal with it. Especially as you said, it was a rather unfair social climate to people with disabilities at the time. So having that representation, I think, is a really great thing.
Yeah.
Not only is she disabled, she's a woman of color.
Yeah.
and has incredible abilities that she still has
I mean,
to hide.
that's like 3 strikes against her now.
Well, and in the opening chapters, I mean, she's there with Cy, who is a tall, gangly white man, and how does it look when a woman of color who is disabled is being pushed around by
Okay,
a white
that's
man?
yeah.
They have to consider that and how she's being represented in public and the dangers involved with that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a lot of world building thought going into that.
Well, you have a unique view on disabilities just from personal experience. So
I do. Well,
and the way people react to people with disabilities. So
yeah, I have a son with autism, and in terms of thinking about Ingrid and her mobility issues, my grandma was in a walker the past number of years. She just passed away this past June. But being around her and just talking with my mom about, we can't go to this restaurant because her walker can't get in the bathroom. And
we're dealing with that with his mother.
Yeah, we
right
did with
now.
my mom at this present time.
It's eye-opening because until you're there, you don't see it.
No. It's that's exactly right. You don't see it until you have to experience it. I mean,
It changes your life.
It does. You just take for granted so easily the fact that you can just walk around, go into any kind of room, fit into any kind of situation.
That you can lift your feet 2 inches to go over a door sill into a place, and my grandma couldn't do that.
Right.
Yep.
In her last couple of years, that was becoming increasingly harder.
Yep.
Yeah.
It really is. So, what is this trilogy? Is that it for?
Yeah, because
Ingrid, or you can't say.
I know you can't
say,
but let's approach this from a more creative standpoint. I mean, you've been doing all this development, all this world building at the same time. As you're doing this, and as the voices are talking to you, do you even sense in the back of your brain that there is more story?
For this series, no. This definitely is a conclusion.
Okay, so
in this book,
I was going to say, well, does this book end on a cliffhanger?
Oh God,
that would be the ultimate telling point.
Okay, lynch mob now.
I'm actually not too big on real cliffhangers. Drive me crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
We're reading a book series right now that is just like, oh my God.
Well, there's two book series we're reading, and the author is evil. Loves to end on just the meanest of cliffhangers, and just irks me to no end.
Yeah,
but you bought the next book, right?
Right.
Yeah, we have to.
Oh yeah. We had to wait 3 weeks on this one series because I thought they were all 3 out because I just did a quick search on Amazon, and I didn't look at the third book, and it's like due such and such date, and it's like we finished the first 2, and it's like I went, what?
Well, then there's Perry Covington and his Child of Atlantis series. I want to punch him in the face. I don't even know that next book's supposed to be out yet. He's busy doing
really
other
feel.
stuff. He's busy working on a television show right now. I don't know when that third book's going to come out.
But yeah, this trilogy does wrap up with Roar of Sky. My Clockwork Dagger books, it's a duology, but there are there are 2 stories and a novella based on that world.
Right.
That you can buy separately as ebooks, or they're also together in a collection called Deep Roots.
Well, see, that's going to be the next question. Okay, so...
And that is going to be on sale here at CocoCon.
Oh, cool.
Oh, cool.
So with Blood of Earth, okay, so yes, you've got a conclusion to this particular story with these characters. Is there more story in that universe?
I'm never going to say no to that, but at this time I don't have anything else. Right now I'm working on something totally new and fresh.
Okay.
To go into something new.
Is it top secret?
Is there a hint?
I can't really...
Is it similar in what you've done? I mean, is it...
It's
you tend to write
historical.
steampunk and alternate history.
Yeah. I'm busting out of steampunk, and this is more historical.
Okay.
And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. I won't press you anymore.
Yeah.
I just...
Yeah.
I love your writing. It really is.
Well, and I mean, if people are waiting for more works from me, I regularly have short stories and poetry come out, and my website, people can always find the latest publications through
and
there.
Recipes.
And yeah, my Bread You're Not recipes, and I do have
Ginger bars.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Oh my word! Can I just say, that ginger bar saved my life today. It really did. My blood sugar took a really bad hit shortly before you came down and met us in the lobby, and that ginger bar, wow, that was the gift that kept on giving.
That's why I bring them to cons.
Oh,
because
the flavors
people
were
need
awesome
that.
in that.
They were really
really good.
You know, people at conventions, they book themselves solid, or they get caught up with friends and they think they have 2 hours and they get caught with a friend, and an hour later they're like, oh no, I don't have time to eat. And people do have blood sugar issues, and I know I do. So it means a lot. Like if I'm stuck in an elevator with someone, or just walking around, hey, do you want a cookie? Do you want a cookie? And there's so many people who've told me, oh, I haven't eaten anything in 8, 10, 12 hours.
Oh, jeez.
You know, oh, thank you.
I'd be on the floor.
Yeah.
And I would be too. I would be a hangry mess at that point.
Well,
Trust me, you don't want to see me hangry. That was yesterday.
on that note, we're going to wind this segment down, but we'll be back because there's more to talk about. So we'll be back in a little bit.
This is Beth Cato, author of Breath of Earth and Call of Fire. You're listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
And here's a few selected birthdays for September 3rd through September 9th, 2018. September 3rd, Garrett Hedlund and Kitty Carlisle Hart, famous opera singer, but most everybody knows her from...
To tell the truth, what's my line?
Yeah, What's My Line? And also she was on Hollywood Squares occasionally, too.
Oh, I never saw her in Hollywood
I
Squares.
think she was.
I know her very well from To Tell the Truth.
Yeah, To Tell the Truth, yeah. And we have on September 4th, I forgot to put my sound in here.
Oh, well.
Dick York on September 4th. I have the Bewitched.
Twinkle, twinkle, twinkle.
Tingle, tingle, tingle. Also on September 4th, Paul Harvey. I listened to Paul Harvey on KVOO out of Tulsa,
he was an
Oklahoma.
institution.
But I mean that's where I think he got his start, and then he actually lived here in Phoenix or
he did.
North Scottsdale.
He loved Arizona.
Yeah, so Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Also on September 4th, Beyonce. September 5th, George Lazenby.
The Forgotten Bond.
The Forgotten Bond. The original Bond. He was the first Bond.
No, he wasn't.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
He was actually in between Sean Connery and Roger Moore.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Have I lost my mind?
I think you have.
Oh, anyway. Also on September 5th, Bob Newhart, Michael Keaton, and Freddie Mercury. September 6th, Idris Elba, Roger Waters, and Joanne Worley. Melons! They did things on that show, Laugh In, that they would never
Couldn't get away with today.
today.
No.
September 7th, Dario Argento, famed Italian filmmaker, horror filmmaker, and James Van Allen.
He made a belt.
Yes, he did. September 8th, Martin Freeman, Gaten Matarazzo, who is the curly-haired kid from Stranger Things.
Oh.
and Antonin Dvorak, famed composer. September 9th, Henry Thomas and Hugh Grant. And that's it for the birthdays this time. And here's a little addendum to the birthday segment because I forgot to look at Facebook.
Because we're at the mobile studios.
We're at the mobile studio, and it's kind of crazy. On September 3rd, we have Mark Biaggi. Thank
Happy
you,
birthday,
Mark, for all the little
voices.
bumpers and voices that he's done for us that we continue to use.
Yes.
Also on September 3rd, Kimberly McGirt-Clintob. I've known her since she was like 14 years old.
Imagine that.
That's amazing. September 5th, Tatiana Patton. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Tatiana. I wish I'd know how to say that in Russian, but
Absolutely.
I won't.
And Greg Lowe, another filmmaker
friend who is now in Seattle.
Yeah, and Jason Carney, director
yes.
of the Phoenix Film Festival.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to all of our Facebook friends.
You're tuned in to Krypton Radio. It's sci-fi for your Wi-Fi.
Go visit our friends over at Krypton Radio, and you can find us there on Tuesdays at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time. And now, it is time for that wonderful time of our show.
Yes.
The feedbag.
Feedbag?
Yes.
Yes. Well, starting off, we got something from Arkle. This is in regards to episode 183. And he's saying, sticking with the birthday segment for the moment, I actually have a Dorothy Parker quote because we talked about Dorothy Parker's birthday in episode 183. And he says, he has this Dorothy Parker quote as one of my many email signatures. Don't look at me in that tone of voice.
Yep.
Not that I send that many emails these days, but still. And then we ran a review for How True Love Lives and Dies in With a Kiss I Die. And we got feedback from Ronnie Khalil.
Yeah, and actually it was probably on the review, but also he was talking about the episode.
True. But he actually he shared this on the Instagram comment.
Okay.
So this was in response to the review that we post on Instagram. And he says, thanks, guys. It was a pleasure chatting with you all on your podcast. Well, thank you. We enjoyed having you. And then lastly, for episode 184, another comment from Arkle. He says, I get the feeling the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, on TV is not long for this world. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was hamstrung from the get-go by the connectivity not going both ways. Cloak and Dagger's on a network hardly anyone watches. Inhumans was just painful. And the Netflix show suffered from being too tightly plotted, which left no room for course correction. And it certainly doesn't help that of those shows whose second seasons have aired, only Luke Cage was consistently good, with Daredevil Season 2 being only half good and Jessica Jones Season 2 being downright bad. I don't agree. I like Jessica Jones. We still have Marvel on TV, I'm sure, but I think we're already starting to, give up on making the shows that fit with the movies, and I agree with you. And that's our feedback for today.
For this time. We want to hear from you, our listeners. You are important to us. Please, if you want to make a comment on our show, on our articles that we run, you can do that on a Facebook post. You can do it on tggeeks.com. You can do it on Twitter. You can do it on Instagram. You can do it by calling us.
Yeah.
We have a voicemail line.
Yeah.
And you can, we'll play that on air at 469-TG-Geeks. That is 469-844-3357. And remember, always, please play nice.
You don't need to hear their identification. They're the two gay geeks. They can go about their business. Move along.
Obi-Wan. That's a name I haven't heard
in a long time.
And we have another interview, and this time it's with Rhonda Parrish.
She's joining Beth Cato.
In the studio here, and we're just going to get right to that. And now we're back, this time with Beth Cato again, and we have Rhonda Parrish joining us as well in the studio. And we just have to say applause for everybody, you know. So that you came and you spent your time with us at a convention. That is, we really appreciate it. That's
big time.
Great. So Rhonda, what is it why are you here?
Wow.
Existential question.
That is okay. Let's just throw it out there on the table.
The short version is because I like Beth and she invited me.
Yeah.
The longer version is that I also write and edit and publish. So it seemed like a good place to come and meet people around here because it's small enough to be friendly, but big enough to be, worth flying in for.
Exactly.
Now, I understand. Now, so let's go back a little bit. So now you've been writing short stories, and I guess, is that how Rhonda then came to your attention or vice versa?
Well, it's way back in the ancient days of the internet when, tumbleweeds rolled and, pioneers settled the frontier of GeoCities and all that.
Oh, my word. That's in the days of Usenet.
Yeah. We were on LiveJournal, and Rhonda actually was a moderator of Nano LJers.
Right? Way back when LiveJournal was a thing. And
I've heard of LiveJournal. Wow, that's some time ago.
LiveJournal.
It's still around. It's still around. It's now owned by a Russian company. So everyone fled it.
It's sort of like MySpace now, actually. I think that's the sort of there's 10 people there clinging by their toenails.
Oh yeah, it's
and
like
not many English
his mother is the last paying AOL
member. Yeah.
Oh wow. But yeah, I was doing NaNoWriMo back in the day and looking for support groups on LiveJournal because I'd been on there since 2000, 2001.
Oh my God,
and
that is ancient days.
And that's where I met Rhonda, and she also was editing a awesome magazine called Nightblade.
Yeah.
I was just starting to write short stories then because I was realizing my novels sucked. And getting into Nightblade was like one of my early publication goals because I wanted a Marge Simon illustration and all this stuff.
I actually got a Facebook memory just yesterday where I was celebrating 11 years ago yesterday. The first issue of Nightblade was coming out.
Wow.
Wow. Nightblade's closed now. But back in the day. It was, and Beth's story, the first story was The Pacifier, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Which was fantastic. Super short, post-apocalyptic. Awesome. I'm pretty sure I nominated it for a pushcart.
I think you did. Yeah.
It was amazing. Love that story.
Yeah,
it's a small press an award.
I see.
Yeah, it was a story about essentially an alien invasion, and there was a mother with an infant trying to hide in a building where these aliens were outside, on the march, and she was having to breastfeed her child to silence it.
Oh my Lord!
Ooh, that's intense.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
Wow. So, what you said that you flew in.
I did.
A lot of the people that are at the con here have either driven in from LA and local or whatnot. Where did you come from?
I came from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Edmonton, Alberta.
Wow.
Right?
We have a Canuck.
And you know what? She deserves applause for that because she's a rare Canadian here in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's big applause.
No sad trombone for that.
Yeah, here in the Phoenix Desert in the height of summer.
Oh, my Lord.
This must have been torture for you.
It is so hot. It was so funny. I was at the store the other day, and the dude said, where are you from? And I said, Edmonton. And he said, Edmonton, you have great weather there. It's like, nobody ever says that.
If you live in Phoenix, you do.
Yeah.
Perhaps only in August, though.
Right. Yeah, I would think that in December and January,
right?
It's kind of like, I travel with my real job. This, we do this as a labor of love, but I have been to North Dakota in February. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. And people, they say, you're from Phoenix? Doesn't it it's just so hot there in the summertime. What do you do in the summer? And I say, well, what do you do in the wintertime? I say, I go for my air-conditioned house to my air-conditioned car to the air-conditioned place that I'm going to and back and forth, where they go from their heated home to their heated car to their heated wherever they're going.
Yeah, but at least we don't have to shovel heat.
Exactly.
I mean, I shovel sand dunes. I don't know.
After monsoon,
Exactly.
But when you get cold, you can just keep putting on clothes.
Oh,
when
no,
you get
no.
hot, there comes a limit.
No.
Yeah, that is true.
No, I'm the opposite way. I grew up in northeastern Oklahoma, and we had it. While it doesn't get horribly cold, the wind blows.
It'll cut right through the clothing.
And we always say, I remember twice in my entire life of 26 years that I lived in Oklahoma that it ever just snowed twice in 26 years. Normally it's rain, freezing rain, sleet, snow. Always in that order. Rain, freezing rain, sleet, snow.
So you've got the ice under the snow just to make it extra treacherous.
And then the wind.
And I lived
I just hate cold weather.
Yeah, and I lived in West Virginia for a time. And when the Alberta Clipper decides to blow through and makes everything sub-zero, no, thank you. That's like, I feel like I'm being cut apart with a knife.
Well, we sort of take a weird sort of pride in how cold it gets, though, right? Like, we're like, it is minus 40 and I don't care. I'm going to the football game. Like,
Well, that's how we are with our summers. Yeah, it's like, okay, it's 120 degrees, but dadgummit, we're going out because we love baseball.
Yeah. Or what? Well, but the baseball stadium's air conditioned.
We don't tell people that.
And closed roof.
Yeah.
We don't mention that.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want to make people think that we're wimps.
So, what kind of writing do you do, Rhonda?
mostly I do speculative fiction, so largely fantasy and some science fiction and horror.
Okay.
How did you get involved in that whole business?
Yeah,
I don't even remember.
Oh, it's that long ago.
Well, I mean, that's what I used to read when I was a kid. So then
Right.
when I started writing, you start writing what you love. You kind of do the, it's not really fan fiction, but it's imitation fiction. And
Right.
then you hopefully grow from that. And
Well, Nightblade was fantasy and horror.
yeah.
Primarily.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was because I'd seen a bunch of really bad easings, and I thought I can do better.
Easings. Oh my God. Yes, I've seen some Star Trek easings with the worst fiction imaginable.
Yeah.
So.
But I think a lot of writers get driven by that. You started writing because of that too, right? Like you read something bad and you thought you could do better.
Yeah, well, and a lot of it, with my books and wanting to portray a healer as the main character.
Right.
Because I couldn't find that in books. The healer was always just there as the convenient,
Backup.
buff for the big brawny hero. And I was like, no, I want the healer to not be stuck in the back row of the party. I want her to be
The star. Yeah.
You want the cleric to be in the limelight.
Exactly.
Hey, they have a role to serve.
And to kick a little butt too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
I think a healer could really kick major butt. But you also do editing.
I do.
Now, what made you want to kind of take that little sidestep?
Well, it kind of came naturally when I opened Nightblade because somebody had to edit the stories.
Well, there it is.
So that was me. But actually, it's really fun to help people take a story that is already really good and make it just a little bit better to help find like things that connections that authors can't see. Because when we're writing our own work, you become blind to that sort of thing,
Right.
And you need somebody else to point it out for you.
Mm-hmm.
Say, you really should stop using that phrase.
The good part about being an editor and a writer is like both. I mean, the bad part is that you don't have the focus that people
Right.
do if they just do one or the other. But the good part is that you know both. And so you can say, well, we as writers do this thing. Mm-hmm. And it's not like new writers especially are scared of editors. Like experienced writers are not. They know it's a team thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But new writers are just like, oh, they're going to like be mean to me and pick my story.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, you suck. Stop.
Right?
Yeah.
Your
Or
writing sucks.
Or that fear that they're going to take the story.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you
Yeah.
can say, like I do this thing too, so I get it.
Right.
It helps.
Right.
It helps with the newbies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Jeannie Koch saying she didn't want to write this one thing, and the editor saying, "Oh no, you need to write this one thing," and she's, "I don't want to write this. It's too sad." "Oh no, you need to have this in there." So have you ever had to? We had to tell the writer, "No, you need to put this in
Oh,
here."
yeah, absolutely. People don't want to put the really scary stuff. They don't want to put the really sad stuff. But that needs to be on the page, or else the reader doesn't get the full experience, right?
Right.
So it's not just a question of things to take out, but things to put in as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it fleshes out the whole story because if they're feeling an emotional attachment to it, the reader needs to know that.
Exactly. And they need to experience it too.
Exactly. Yeah.
There was a book that I loved and I was totally engaged in it, and then this like a super critical incident happened to one of the characters that later defined the entire character, and it happened off the page. And I was done with that book, and I was done with that series, and I really, it stuck in my brain, and
it's like you were cheated,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a fantasy series or urban fantasy series that Keith and I started a couple of months ago. And this is one of those times where the editor said, "You need to take that out," and I dispute that. I highly dispute it because the author actually put it back in on Twitter. He said, "I promise," and he showed it, and I read it. I went, "That should have been in the book."
Yeah.
Because it defines the entire universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're fallible too, right?
Yeah.
Editors are human. We make mistakes.
Yeah.
Well, but maybe in a second edition or something, it'll reappear.
Well, that's why they have the author's preferred editions of books, right?
Right.
Where they're like, no.
Another copy to buy.
I think you have to be a certain level of author to get that.
That's
Like, how many copies of the same book do I need to own?
Exactly. Yeah. Were you there when we were talking about? We talked to
An agent.
an agent, and told her that we buy 2 digital copies, plus we'll buy a hard copy, and sometimes a second hard copy, and he'll buy the audiobook.
I like to get the audiobooks because I love to listen to them while I'm working.
And sometimes we've bought a hard copy, and then we'll go to a con and we'll buy another hard copy and get it signed, and so I'm gonna jump on the soapbox here. So if you're going to a con and you're going to see authors or you're going to see people that have things to sell, please, please, please take cash. Cash, please.
Cash is king.
Exactly. I mean, these books come out of their pocket, and they don't need to pay another 2% or 5% or whatever it is to the credit card company. So please take cash with you. I'm off the soapbox now.
So let's talk about some of the things that you've written then, because you said you've written some speculative fiction. Can you run down some titles that people might look for?
my last book that came out that I wrote is called Haunted Hospitals, and it's actually
You got me.
Oh.
You got me. You haunted hospitals.
Yeah.
Okay. Spill.
So I actually live like 2 blocks away from a haunted hospital in Edmonton. It's this old abandoned hospital that has tons of rumors.
She's posted pictures of it, and it is seriously creepy in
It's
pictures.
pretty creepy.
Oh, okay. Share.
I'll get those out after. But so that I really wanted to write something about that, and then I met Mark Leslie at a convention, and he writes these like Haunted Hamilton and those sorts of recounting ghost stories around his cities and stuff. And I said, I live by a haunted hospital. And he was like, so we should write a book together. And I was like, so that was totally my whole point in mentioning that. So that one came out last year, actually. And I'm pretty fond of it. It was my first attempt at nonfiction, and I think it went very well.
Cool. Oh, so this is nonfiction. I'm trying to put into a more specific category.
We call it paranormal nonfiction. So it's I'm just telling the history of these places and then sharing people's like reported experiences there. It's I don't believe in ghosts, but my co-writer does. So we made a really good team with the skeptical and the believer there.
So X-Files.
Very much so. Yeah.
I mean, kind of. But yeah, but no aliens.
Have you thought about
aliens.
actually?
Dang it!
Have you thought about actually writing a fictional one? Because for me, I have found that some of the most chilling books are those that take place in either some kind of, a disused hospital or some kind of a scientific lab where you just know things could go seriously wrong. Yeah. But at the same time, it kind of plays on the old psychological fear. To be able to read something like that and actually make the hairs on the back of my neck just stand up are some of the most incredible experiences ever. I thought about going down that road.
That you should mention that.
Okay, now I swear to God, I had no idea she was about to say that.
So the hospital that I live near creeps into like my fiction all the time, and I have a YA thriller coming out next year from Taiki Books, which is based out of Calgary. It's called Hollow. And it takes place largely in the haunted hospital that is like right by my house.
Oh, cool.
And there's, yeah.
Ooh. Well, we have to keep our eyes open for that one.
Pre-order.
Yeah. Is it?
It's not available for pre-order yet.
Oh, darn no.
But now you know to look for it.
Right?
Yeah.
Google.
But will you be making... okay, so let me ask this. The books that you have written so far, how can people find them?
The easiest way would probably be to go to my website, which is rhondaparrish.com. Or most of them are on Amazon, so you can just throw my name in the search bar and they should come up.
Cool. Okay, and they'll be able to pre-order.
Parrish with 2 R's.
Yes, 2 R's.
And they'll be able to pre-order that book.
Soon.
So can we pre-order the pre-order?
How do we make that Amazon?
Right?
Yeah, that's like
algorithm.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Pre-order
happen.
the pre-order.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a time travel story.
We could do that. Put the name of the book in repeatedly into the search bar.
That might work.
We're gonna game the algorithm.
That might actually work. That might actually cause them to set the pre-order up earlier. You never know.
Oh, my poor publisher, she's going to hate me.
No, she'll love you because of this. You're doing this,
Yeah,
talking
she'll
about
love it.
it.
I would think the publisher would love it.
This is not my schedule yet.
Oh, so they're really about calendar dates then.
Oh no, she's awesome. I did an anthology with her that we just released a couple of months ago, and they're fabulous. So Taiki Books is quite small, so you get to know the people associated with it as well, and I love her so. So I don't want to make her mad, but I don't think she'll be mad.
Ooh, that's well. I'm excited about that one, and I'm going to. I'm going to admit something that I'm not very proud of, but this is just me. I love YA books. I really do. For some reason, I find them just my poor brain. I don't know what it is, but at the end of the day, because I work with hospital claims day in day out, and always trying to fix this problem, fix this other problem. So by the end of the day, I find that if I'm reading anything that is of a level that's higher than 18 years old, I'm doomed.
Yeah. Well, you know Tom Levine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've read some of his stuff. His is really targeted to a younger audience, but some of the things that are labeled YA are perfectly fine. I enjoy them.
I love young adult
books. We were
books,
talking to the agent, and we asked her, "What do you do when something is labeled YA but could also be sci-fi, could also be well, we try to get them to put it in all of those different slots.
Yeah.
But, it really depends on the bookstore, or the bookseller, shall we say. But I find YA perfectly fine to read.
Oh, and I love middle grade.
Yeah.
I adore some middle grade.
I like that better. I like middle grade. Yeah. I like that term better.
You could just devour them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we found out where Rhonda's books can be. Beth, where can people find your stuff if they're not here at the con?
BethCato.com. It's everything and one-stop shopping, people.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. I have a bibliography on there that is weirdly large at this point. Lots of poetry, lots of short stories, a number of things that you can read for free online.
Oh, cool.
And lots of links to Amazon and other places to buy stuff. And my novels, there are links to lots of places to buy them on there, from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, to Poison Pen, our good local store in Scottsdale, to Mysterious Galaxy, Powell's, all that stuff right there. And yeah, I want to say I love you guys and how you support writers and just artists. Of
we
all
try.
kinds.
We do our best.
We try.
2 ebooks and the physical book and the
Yeah, well, I mean, we really, one of the things that we always say at the end of every episode is that we are huge supporters of independent creators, and I consider authors to be independent creators.
Even
though
if they have an agent and publisher.
Right.
I mean, you still are to a certain extent.
Oh, yeah.
And
We're contract workers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we believe in that, and it's wonderful. So,
And a big
our
believer,
niche.
big believer in writers, because to me there is no greater thing than being able to read a really good book and just losing yourself in the pages of it.
And
no
I
greater
love
experience.
to have too many things to read. It's when when I'm searching for something to read that I
go
get
mental.
frustrated because what do I want to read? You know, and if somebody, this one series that we're reading right now, it's somebody tagged us in a Facebook post and said, "You should look at this." And I looked.
We loved
I
it.
said, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and reading is such a great thing for the brain.
Yeah.
I call it theater of the mind, but it's also, pardon the term, I call it a brain enema. You know, after all the rubbish that people have to deal with on a daily basis, to lose yourself in the pages of a book is a great experience, and this is great mental development at the same time. So, bravo, authors!
So besides your website on the intertubes, where do you have the social media presence?
Yeah, social media. Where are you? Where can you both be found on social media? Be it Facebooks, Twitters, Instagrams.
Well,
et cetera,
I have links for all that stuff through Beth Cato, but yeah, I'm very active on Twitter and Facebook. Twitter, very easy. It's at Beth Cato, and that's CATO.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah. And Rhonda's easy to find too.
Yeah,
And we talk to each other on there, and you can find us having conversations on there.
I mean, that's one way. Just go to Beth and then find me through there. But I'm also on Twitter and Facebook, and it's just my name, at Rhonda Parrish. And
Oh, yay. Cool.
Awesome.
And you have a website, Rhonda Parrish. Are you on the Facebook?
I'm on the Facebook. I am author Rhonda Parrish.
Okay.
My name was taken.
Oh, no.
So go for the title.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this has been really great.
It's been
I'm glad
awesome.
that you joined us up here.
Yes, this was a lot of fun.
Why would I come up there? I don't know.
That's not what I said. That's how I talk, though.
Well, thank you both for being here with us on the show this time.
Thank you. I love you guys.
Thank you.
As always, we want to talk about mental health awareness, and actually September 1st is the first day of Suicide Prevention Month, or
I didn't know
Suicide
that.
Awareness
Good.
Prevention Awareness Month. And we always want to talk about that. It does get better.
Mm-hmm.
Please get help if you are struggling with things in your life.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
And this is our weekly review of things that we ran last week on the website. For those of you who don't know, we have articles every day of the week, tggeeks.com.
Yes, and starting on August 26th, which was a Sunday, Dr. Zombie, Monster Family Physician number 11. The following Monday, we had TG Geeks episode 184. On Tuesday, Life Imitates Art with My Life with James Dean. That's a movie review.
Fun movie.
Fun movie.
And I got an email back from the director.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did. I forgot to tell you that.
Oh, great. And also there was a press release. Action star Alexander Nevsky wins big at Action on Film 14. On Wednesday, Operation Finale is a remarkable testament. That was also a movie review. Then Jeannie Koch came back with old classics newly reviewed for the movie Kismet from 1955. On Thursday, another movie review. The Little Stranger is more than just a little ghost story. And then Tom Levine comes back with another one of his primetime reviews for the movie Heidi from 2014. On Friday, another news sushi, morsels of news from Japan and beyond, number 26 from Hamish Downey. Also, the first Concast episode of the TG Geeks from CocoCon 2018. And then on Saturday, there was episode 2 of the Concast from CocoCon 2018, as well as a review of the Apocalypse Later Roadshow number 32, which was the little mini sci-fi film fest that Hal Estelle had running here.
Yeah,
and that's what we had for this week.
A lot of fun. You can find all these things at tggeeks.com, as well as entries on our Facebook page and our Twitter. As always, we have follow-up items. We got widgets on the right-hand side of the page. One in particular for Beth Cato's Aurora Sky that is to be released in October. You can pre-order it over there, and we are supporters of Arizona Opera. Check them out, azopera.org. Check out our restaurant reviews, a new category that we have. And
they're very popular.
Yeah.
And they're not just located to Phoenix either.
Exactly. And we are huge supporters of independent creators of all kinds, filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, others. Please support independent creators by buying their stuff.
Special shout out to Doctor Who Talking Who on Twitter, Michael C. Burgess on Twitter, The Human Arkle on Twitter. They all have paper release that republish our content. Doctor Who Talking Who's is the Doctor Who Fancast Guide. Michael C. Burgess's is the Bionic Semi-Journal Aggregator. And The Human Arkle's is the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News. You can find them on Twitter at Talking Who, at Byronic, and at Arkle. And, of course, Arkle also has a shameless cash grab. Look up Arkle Studios. It's on YouTube, youtube.com/user/Arkle Studios. Also, there's the Facebook group, The Gay Geek, and we thank them for allowing us to post our episodes on their page. The URL is facebook.com/group/The Gay Geek, with a special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves, for allowing us to share our content there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jeremiah. And we thank everybody that has clicked on and bought stuff through Amazon.
We made money.
Our links. We actually got paid $10.77.
Woohoo!
But we got paid. So thank you for clicking on those Amazon ads. Please click on some more. That would be nice. Help us pay for this show. Or pay,
That's a laugh.
Pay for something, anyway. And lastly, we can now be found on Spotify, and check us out on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Up next time, I don't know. We have several things in the can. We did several interviews here at CocoCon that were really exciting. A couple of things that we're going to run out as an episode and not just an article on the
not just for the website alone.
The website. So check it out. We'll definitely have something interesting.
Oh yes,
next week.
No question.
Please check us out. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Sorry, we ran through the last bit real quick. We've got to fit in this time slot. But be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page of things that we talked about. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From Mobile TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Peace.
Cheers.